Right.
Peace, Queen. How you feeling?
I'm doing great. Peace King. How are you?
All is well. All is well. Man, thank you so much for coming on the platform. I really appreciate you. I should have been had you on here. I definitely appreciate the work that you're doing in the community. And I look forward to, hearing more about what you got going on and anything you got coming up in the future.
Oh, awesome. Well, I'm going to definitely say this. Number one, I appreciate you, and everything happens the way it's supposed to happen, right? So, I'm just, I always, like I told you before when you were on my platform, how I admire your work. I mean, you're a young brother out here with that old soul. And so I'm just like, I just love to be in your company because, you are really making an impact and creating a legacy. So, with that being said, I could just, you want me to just start with introducing who I am and background, or about how you, is that what you want?
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool for the viewers who, may not recognize you. Definitely let them know who you are,
Right,
where you
right.
from, and, what you got going on.
Yes, sir. Okay, so my name is Sasha Beckette-Abdullah. There are people who know me as Anisa, in particular in the Muslim community, because I converted to Islam 31 years ago. But with that being said, I usually introduce myself as Sasha, and I am from Cleveland, born and raised. I'm my mother's only child. My dad, I am one of five of his daughters, and I'm that kid who I've lived and growing up, lived in different places in Cleveland. Born on the west side, but my mother moved to the east side, and so I experienced like growing up in different parts of Cleveland. I actually am a graduate of Shaw High School, which is East Cleveland, of course. Those who know. And in the first 2 years of my high school year, I actually went to Shaker. And so that's, just some of my background there. In terms of, I'll speed it up in terms of like what I'm doing now and how I got into this literacy space. Actually, it started when I had my son Musa, who was 18 years old now, and I had him in a reading program, me and his dad, back when he was about to be 6 years old, and we knew that he was like struggling with reading, and so we had enrolled him in like. For us, it was kind of expensive. I'll just say that it was one of them popular reading programs that a lot of people are familiar with. They have them on a college campus. I'm not going to mention the college name, and so a lot of folks will have their kids enrolled in there and say, okay, you want your child to learn how to read, or you want them to get better at this aspect of reading or whatever. So we enrolled them. And the program, in my opinion, and I did voice my opinion at the end, I thought they could have had, number one, more enthusiastic read alouds. The person who was doing facilitating, it was almost like how I viewed it, like he was just kind of just getting this done. I don't know if he was a graduate student. I don't know whatever it was. I just knew, I at least knew that you should have had more of the read aloud experience, doing things to get the kids engaged in reading. And so that was something that I definitely talked about. And then I decided, I said, well, um, I don't think I need to just, focus on what folks aren't doing. I'm going to start making a change within my own self. So I was already sometimes reading to the kids in my children's schools, like volunteering, doing read alouds. I had done that before. And so that was something that I had wound up deciding to do when I started ABC Read. So one of the aspects of ABC Read is focusing on making sure that we have read alouds in the community for the community, because we knew that reading aloud is something that is one of the ways in which to get kids engaged in reading. Because initially ABC Read was started to just focus on our children, in particular our Black and underserved communities, because that's our mission. Our mission is to develop and nurture a culture of literacy in Black and underserved communities. And we also knew that we had to help build the home libraries of our communities. That was extremely important. Research has already shown that when you have a lot of communities that do not have books in the homes, they don't have books that represent them, then that's where you see the struggle as it pertains to the literacy. And so that was another gap we were filling. So the read aloud gap, building the home libraries, also the aspect of making sure that we are providing healthy snacks and food when we have our what we call read aloud experiences. And so these experiences were ways where we would have speakers in the community, like somebody like yourself, who would definitely be like, come on, you need to come talk to the community. You know, somebody who has their own business, Black, that represents our people, coming and talking to our community. Also, we have engaging literacy activities as well. All of these things we saw that, okay, these are the ways to engage and get our community into reading. And a year after ABC Read started, which was in 2014, we realized that we just couldn't focus on the kids, because we're like, okay, we're having the kids get books and then they're going home and they're not seeing adults around them reading. It's not really, it's not really a community thing. It's just more of a thing. The kids are coming in, the adults around them, they're not really connected to what they have been exposed to. So then that's when we said, oh, we need to have this adults as well, everybody on board. So that's when we changed it and we made sure that we put that in our mission. So that's why it's developing and nurturing a culture of literacy in Black and underserved communities. So not just the youth. So that is the foundation of where ABC Read started. So again, started with my son Musa, understanding the gaps that needed to be filled in the Black community. And we're just in there, doing our thing. 10 years so far. So
Wow, that's amazing. 10 years. I mean, that's a long time. I really appreciate what you're doing. Now, I can ask you this. Have you seen a significant change since, I guess, before COVID and, also with the rise of more people on social media? Is it more challenging to get children and adults to read, or has it become easier? Have you seen a shift in the numbers, or has it been pretty steady?
I will definitely say, I'll definitely say this. I know that we definitely have seen, of course, since COVID, a lot of, especially our youth, struggle. A lot of teachers, a lot of folks have said that they've seen, the kids, struggling when it comes to the reading. However, I just, always like to always remember that and remind people that our kids were struggling even before COVID. COVID just pretty much kind of just put a real big spotlight on the issues. It exacerbated the problem. But in terms of, as far as like the things that we're doing in the community, we definitely have seen like a lot of folks who are, number one, the exposure piece. A lot of people are becoming more aware of what ABC Read is doing. Number two, one thing that I've been noticing in the community is that a lot of kids, they'll see, like, say if they'll see me like at a reading event, or if we're set up somewhere, we're connected with another organization giving away books. There are kids now, they're like, oh, wow, I remember you. You gave us books here. Or I remember, you were here and y'all were, had this program here. And so that right there, we see that the word has definitely gotten out. A lot of people have become more aware of what we have been doing. So that's something that I definitely have seen more of, I can say.
Okay. Now I can ask you this. You might have touched on it a little bit earlier. Now, when did you yourself develop, this passion for reading? Like, were you always like an avid reader as a kid, or you kind of got into it later in life?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, yes, what really was the catalyst for me starting ABC Read again was because of my son. However, when I started really getting into reading, was more so actually it was like college, and then my second year of college, yes, that I had became Muslim, and I had started reading even more. So that's when my thirst and my drive to want to read actually developed. Because when I was a kid, I didn't grow up reading. I was a TV person. In fact, I was in TV so heavy. I remember when I was 10 years old, I said, I'm going to be an actress. That's what I want. I wanted to be on TV. That's what I wanted to do. Okay. So it was like, because that's what I did a lot of. I watched TV a lot. I memorized what was coming on TV. Anybody remember the TV guide? I knew they used to call me the walking TV guide, okay? For my old school folks, all right? I knew what time, the channel, all of that, okay? So yeah, I didn't grow up reading. My parents, like I said, I'm my mother's only child. And so she was always like that struggling single mom at the time. And then when my dad, I actually met my dad when I was 8.5 years old. And he's been in my life ever since. And again, it wasn't like he was reading bedtime stories to me, or my then stepmom. It wasn't none of that. It was just everybody. It was always known though that we had to go to school. We had to make sure that we did the best we can in terms of bringing home good grades. Like that aspect was there, the education piece. And I think that's, very important to note in the Black community. We are about education. That's one thing about our people, for the most part, whatever the socioeconomic status. However, when it comes to things in terms of understanding, if you want your child to value things like reading, actually value education, value learning, that happens through interactions like having those story times, taking trips to the library, buying your children books, making sure that, because now they see that's what you value. And that's why, those things, like I said, what ABC Read, why we do what we do in terms of building home libraries, because we know that when our kids are seeing books all around them and they're seeing the adults around them reading, now it's a mindset shift. Now they're like, oh, okay, now I see why this reading thing is important. It's not just me trying to take a test and pass a test. Okay, now it's, now I'm developing an affinity, a pleasure. I want to read, even if somebody is not like a quote unquote voracious reader. Everybody is not going to be a voracious reader. I understand that. But at least you know that the power is in you being able to know that you can go and get the information yourself. You don't have to wait for somebody else to do it. You can go look it up yourself. So yeah. So hopefully, I believe I answered your question. I started just going and going.
No, no, definitely, definitely. You made a good point. You was talking about the library. I mean, a lot of people take the library for granted. We just go there if we got like a book report or we got a summer reading project. But as I got older, I understood how amazing the library was. Like I would live in the library or spend the night there if I could. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
It's just such an amazing place, and
yes.
and that's something that I think, like you say, the parents can instill that in the children early on. Like we going to the library, everybody get ready, everybody get excited. Like we going to the mall, or we going to the movies, or we going to the amusement park, we going to the library to have some fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's real cool.
Yes.
Now I can ask you this. Now, did you have or do you have, any favorite books that you like to read, or a favorite author or anything like that?
Oh wow, I'm glad you asked that. One of my main books. First of all, I'm a nonfiction Black history buff. Okay, so when it comes to books, that's like my preference. I'm not into fiction like that. But there are some fiction books that I definitely can say, and I will mention here. My very first book that comes to mind. Well, the first two. Hold up. The first one is the autobiography of Malcolm X. I mean, I read that twice. Okay. Like, that book right there, that is, I truly believe that should be mandated for our high school students. Just like, how they mandate To Kill a Mockingbird. Okay, and they mandate what's the other one? Moby Dick. You know what I'm saying? Great Expectations. I remember having to read that. The Diary of Anne Frank. No, our kids need to read the autobiography of Malcolm X, period, when they're either 14 to 15 years old. So that's my number one. That book right there, you talk about transformation. You talk about just understanding all the different things that he went through, his phases, all of that, the epitome of what we deal with as in life as a human being. I mean, to me, it was encapsulated in that book. My next book is The Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy. That right there is, to me, a must-have. Why? Because that book speaks to all of the different things that we deal with in the Black community, a lot of the maladaptive behaviors that we've adopted in the Black community for our survival in a system of the false notion of white supremacy. This is what Dr. Joy DeGruy has mapped out and told us about, defined, and gave us remedies for. Okay, so those two right there. A book that I just actually, I'm a big fan of listening to books being read aloud. Again, having, if a person can get the Audible app, I would highly recommend they invest in that. It's, just $15 a month, just like we pay 15, 16 bucks a month for Netflix, or Hulu or whatever you into. I would advise getting Audible. The book that I just finished listening to, Finding Me, the memoir of Viola Davis. That book right there, yeah. Yeah. I mean, in listening to that book and her, oh my God, her tumultuous, just, woo, gut wrenching. It just like, I just literally just finished listening to it. It was a couple days ago. I mean, I just be thinking about some of her chapters, some of the things she talked about, how she dealt with the abuse of her mother, dealt with the extreme levels of poverty that she endured. And then you just, in all of the ways and things that she talked about her life. And it just shows how you can see all of that energy that goes into her craft of being a phenomenal actress. That right there. And that's the thing. I love memoirs. The memoir of Dapper Dan is another one. The brother Wright, the what do you call him? The fashion guru. Okay. From New York, you know what I'm saying? Like books like that, Rakim's memoir, as well. Like these are the types of books that I am into. In terms of fiction, actually, I just finished reading The Coming by Dr. Daniel Black. That book right there, that realistic fiction, him talking about the middle passage, and he talked about it, though it was written in a way from what our ancestors would have said, conversations they would have had, interactions, all of those different things he put into that book. That, I mean, it just, and that was fiction, but it was of course based off of real things that happened to our ancestors. So so those are the books that I'm into.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you named some powerful books. Like you say, one book can change your life, but those are some great books. I read the Malcolm and the
Yeah,
Post Traumatic Slave Syndrome. That was good.
yeah,
Dr. Black, I had him on the podcast. Shout out to him.
yes.
Um, now you got a podcast. Can you tell us about that? Or you have,
Yes. Oh, for sure. Thank you. Yes. Real Reading Talk. Real Reading Talk. I started the podcast actually in 2017. So I started around the time when podcasting was like really just starting to, gain some traction and everything. And so that podcast, the intent was to talk about the real systemic issues that are at the very core, the very foundation of why we have low levels of literacy in the Black community and the ways in which we can combat these issues together. And so that came out of, I started that after, because I'm a reading tutor for pre-K through fourth grade, and my tutoring business is ABC Learn Tutoring. Also, again, you know about ABC Read, the nonprofit organization. And then I started later on a merch, a line called Reading is Freedom. And so, Real Reading Talk, again, was a way for us. When I say us, I'm talking about Black folks in particular. And the podcast, yeah, anybody can listen to it. But of course, you know, my target audience is our people because of the fact of the high levels of illiteracy that plague the Black community. And the whole point of the podcast is have conversations about, you know, how do we get there? Why do we have these issues of illiteracy and also illiteracy? You know, meaning that folks know how to read, but they're not reading. Okay. So this is a real thing. You know, you got people, I mean, literally, Brother Taye, it's like we'll have events where we're giving out books. And it's sad to say, I've experienced, it's not a lot, but I have experienced a few adults who would say, oh no, you know, I don't read. I don't need no books. And I almost want to like, I'm like, what? Want to come over there and shake it? What you talking about? Even if you aren't reading all like that, please don't say that. You know what I'm saying? My thing is just be like, you know what? Let me get a book. You know what I'm saying? I haven't been reading like I need to, but I appreciate you reminding me that that's what we need to be doing because there was a time in this place where our ancestors built where they were told if we catch you even trying to learn to read or trying to learn anything, we're going to flog you, whip you, cut off your limbs. You know what I'm saying? I heard about a brother who he was learning how to read. They gouged his eyes out. I mean, these are sick, demonic things that has happened to our people, denying our people the God human right of being able to read. Are you serious? And our folks, we come from societies where they were highly literate, books worth more than gold. The Timbuktu, the Library of Timbuktu, Sankore University. I mean, all of these different, places where Black folks, our people, they were literate. And then here it is, we're denied the right to read. It's like that right there. That's why I cannot. I'm like, my people, I'm like, even again, if you are not reading and if you like, look, I need to read more, I'd rather you say that. Please don't say, nah, I'm not gonna get no books. Like our babies are seeing this. You know what I'm saying? They watching this. Like, so yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's sad because some of our people are just so defeated they don't realize like how much power is within those books. That's why they didn't want us reading anything or learning how to read in the first place. Because like I was interviewing a professor from Berkeley, and she was saying like, on the cool, like you might not be able to afford the college tuition, but you can afford the book. So you know what I'm saying? If you put two and two together, you can get halfway there. You
Thank
gonna
you.
come out with something. But that's where
Exactly.
I get a lot of my answers and knowledge and information from. People like, well, how you do this or how you figure out how to do this? I wasn't
Right.
born knowing how to do that stuff. I picked up the right book at the right time, and even if you only retain a little bit of it, you read a book, read a book, read a book. You just start building it up. Like you say, have you a library, then your kids see that they visual, they looking at it like, oh, I gotta have me a library in my house when I grow up.
You. Thank you. Oh my
Hmm.
goodness. Yeah. So I definitely that right. Those are the kinds of conversations. Just like as you know, when you were on Real Reading Talk, I'm
Hmm.
like, listen, we need to and again, we not only discuss the problems though, we discuss the solutions, because we can pontificate all day long about why we all broke and we ain't read, you know what I'm saying? We got all all these issues, but it's like, okay, but what are we gonna do about it? So that's why when I have folks on like yourself, I'm like, it's about solution oriented conversation. So
Yeah, definitely. What are we gonna do about it? Because I know I was doing. I think I mentioned this on your podcast. I was sending books to people in prison. Like I just put a post out, like anybody in prison that might want a book or want to read
mm,
something. And some people, responded. We sent out a couple, like dozen books. And I was watching this. I was watching something on like Instagram, and there was a guy that actually was in prison at one time, and he was saying a lot of the prisoners, they are interested in magazines, or something like that, just to get them a magazine subscription, just to get them started. You might, can't hit them with the Malcolm X off the top, but just
Okay.
get them in the habit and the motion and and they might want to pick it up one day and it change their life. They just don't know.
Right, exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. They got to work their way up to the Afro set, right?
Yeah, yeah, right. Right. And I appreciate you. I really appreciate you grabbing my book. Now that made me want to ask you this. Now, do you write books? Do you have books out? Are you an author? Have you thought about it? And you know,
It's oh man, I love that you asked that question because I finally decided to become an author. I've been asked that multiple times. People have thought I've written books. They thought like sometimes when I would give away books, did you write? I'm like, no, I'm not. And in fact, there was a time where I'm like, man, am I worthy of being an author? Like I always, when you think of authors, you think of people who are like very respected, they're very well read, they're very learned. You know what I'm saying? So even though, as we both know, when you read books, you realize that anybody can write a book. Because I know you have just like me have read books and like, okay, that was trash. Like who gave you the pen? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, yeah. So, but yes, I definitely have decided I wanted to become an author, and actually, I decided to go into like the children's book space because I just feel like number one, that would be a lot easier for me. I also thought about too writing an ebook as well, maybe on something like really short, like a how-to type of book, because I've heard that's actually a good way to kind of get your feet wet in that author space as well. But yes, that is my intention.
okay, okay, yeah. Keep me posted on that. I'm definitely gonna support that.
Yeah.
Now I can ask you about this. I seen something on your page. It was something about 10,000 books. You got 7,000. What
Yeah.
exactly is that about? You can tell
Yeah.
the viewers.
Oh, thank you for asking that. So yes, so we've given away. Actually, I got to correct that number because we've given away. I think I got on there 7,159, and I have to add 92 books to that because one of our board members, she had. I forgot to add her number into there that she had given away as well. So our intention is to give away 10,000 books by the end of this year. Okay, so we've given away since our inception in 2014. We've given away, it'll be a total at the end of this year, God willing, 10,000 books. But so far, we've given away over 7,000 books. And we're proud to say that, folks, I know there's other organizations out there, they could say that, yes, we've given away hundreds of thousands of books or millions of books, which is great. But one thing about ABC Read, what makes us stand out is the fact that we are intentional about getting books that majority represents our culture, our experiences, the people that we serve. And we are very intentional about the types of books that we are giving. So they have to be new or gently used. We don't just take any old books. You can't come and give us your mildew, your books that got ripped pages and written on it, talking about I'm about to I'm gonna donate this to you. No, you ain't. You know what I'm saying? We good, because we want to give our people the best. We tired of always getting the hand-me-downs, you know what I'm saying? Stuff that look all raggedy, and especially when it comes to a book. So that's definitely what makes us stand out when it comes to our book giving. And again, we're a small grassroots nonprofit organization. So, it's a little more difficult for us to come and just start giving hundreds of thousands of books. We are giving the books either that we're purchasing when we get donations and we get grant funding, and again, folks who donate books to us, that's what helps us be able to give what we have to the community.
Oh wow, that's really cool. That's real cool. I like what you're doing. Keep up the great work. Now I could share this with you. I don't know if it'll help what you're doing or not, but
Okay.
I had a friend a few years ago, and she was in college. She was at a university, and they had like these bins where the university, they had so many books. It wasn't just like textbooks, but they would have like Black History books, and they would be in good condition. Some of them would be brand new, and some of them would be used. But
Mhm.
I say that to say I don't know if you reached out or thought about reaching out to somebody, maybe like Cleveland State or even Tri-C or maybe Central State, they may have more the type of books you might be looking for, but maybe they may donate them. You know, you can ask them, or if you can reach out to somebody like the librarian or somebody in the administration, email them, then they might could hook you up. You know.
Yes. See, yeah, you know, you be full of like, you be full of
Right.
resources for real. I mean, that I never thought about that ever, and that's an excellent
Hmm.
idea. And God willing, I'm going to follow up on that. I appreciate you for that. Super dope.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Even the library sometimes, like I don't know if you noticed, they had a little cart where like they selling the books because I guess they
Mhm.
don't have enough room. They usually, I know
Yeah.
they do it sometime at the main library sometime, but like I say, some of them be in good condition, so you know,
Yes.
and they be relevant. But it be something like you actually would want to read or give to somebody.
Thank
So.
you. Yes. Yep. Yep. We've done
Hmm.
that like a few times, but yeah, I definitely
Hmm.
appreciate you on that, reminding me of that, and especially that university piece. I'm like, I ain't never
Hmm.
thought about that. That is super dope. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully there, you know, it's because there's thousands of universities. Because that's what I've been doing with my podcast, just reaching out. Because you'd be surprised, you would think like the schools that you think gonna respond don't, and the schools that you would never expect to respond, they're like, oh yeah, sure, come get them, you know, or yeah, we'll have somebody come on your show. So you know, it's worth a try. You
Yeah,
know.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. I appreciate you. You definitely you know how to lead the way in that. That whole taking initiative, like, you know what, I'm just gonna do either they're gonna say yes or no.
Right. Exactly, exactly. So we're about 30 minutes in. Is it anything else that you wanted to leave the viewers with? And also for people who, you know, want to attend one of your workshops or they want to donate or they want to, you know, if you're looking for volunteers or they want to sign their children up, you know, let them know what's the best way to do that.
All right, cool. Thank you. So you can follow us on all the social media platforms. So, of course, Facebook, IG. I'm on TikTok as well under Reading is Freedom. And for the Facebook, ABC Read, that is the nonprofit one. And then Reading is Freedom, that again, that's the merch line that I created. So if folks want to, check that out, I could just give you the links, if you want me to, so that you can, your viewers, they can go ahead and click on those. And then also to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Reading is Freedom. Definitely do that because that's where a lot of the read alouds are. The podcasts that I do are on there as well. And also, if you want to help us out at ABC Read, abcread.org. That's where you can see what we've been doing. We're just right now, we're working on having some collaborations here in Cleveland with some different organizations where we'll have again, another reading event, as we like to call them. And so that'll be the end of this month. So just check the website. We'll put the information up on there again, abcread.org. So yeah, so that's what I have for you.
All right, all right. So I want to thank you again for letting me come on your podcast and definitely for checking out my book. Like I say, let me know when yours drop. I
Yes,
definitely return the support as well. It's an honor. I really appreciate everything you're doing, and I definitely look forward to everything you got coming in the future.
I appreciate you, Brother Taye. You are phenomenal, brother, and I love your interview style. Just super dope. Thank you for having me.
All right. Until next time.
Yes,
Peace.
peace.